Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for June 8th. Today I want to take a look at Mitch McConnell and Elaine Chow. You know, they're quite the little interesting couple, aren't they? There's a lot of money connected to them, certainly from her side. You know, Mitch McConnell, from what I understand, has children from a previous marriage who kind of don't get along with him or don't acknowledge him. I'm not sure which. But when you look at the two of them together, you can understand that energetically, it is sort of greed and power, if you will, that hold them together. It really is, you know, what can you do for me? What can I do for you? So, you know, an interesting way to, hold on, I just got to fix it. That looks kind of silly. I've got hair popping up all over the place. You know, it's an interesting, I guess, basis for a marriage, but clearly it works for them. So I want to take a look at them. You know, the whole, you know, how did Mitch McConnell win that race last election with an 18% approval rating? You know, what kind of goes on there? So let's do a bit of a deep dive. I'm going to actually ask my pendulum a couple of questions first to sort of get a handle on what direction we're going in here. Okay, so here we go. Here's my handy dandy pendulum. For new subscribers, thank you so much. Welcome to Soulprint. For my existing ones, I adore you. The thumbs up, the comments, the shares, they mean so much in terms of my videos getting out there. And so if you find my videos helpful or calming or informative or just plain fun, please support this channel with those thumbs up and the comments, and of course the shares are wonderful. So here we go. For those of you new or who have not seen the pendulum work being done, and if you haven't, I direct you to the video that was released on Saturday past called Pendulum and Your Answers, okay? Because that was an entire video of the pendulum answering yes/no questions. Also, for those of you who may have missed it, the Pick Your Crystal reading was released on Saturday. And so if you haven't had a chance to do that yet, you might want to check that out also on this channel. Okay, so here we go. So for those of you who may be new or not familiar, back and forth like that, you can see pendulum is saying it's ready to talk. Show me yes, please. And the pendulum will go back and forth and show me no. And it goes around in a circle. Any vibration or movement you see with my hand is as a result of the energy and the momentum of the pendulum. Okay. Are Mitch McConnell and Elaine Chow under investigation at this time? Yes. Is the investigation about or connected to their finances? Yes. Is that investigation about or connected to contracts, inappropriate behavior for a government official, or anything of the like connected to her family? Is Mitch McConnell still going to be an active member of the, Senate by the end of this year? No. And I got to tell you, I consistently get that answer. I consistently seeing him not being in great shape health-wise, and sort of a feeling like it feels sort of like abrupt or sudden. So once McConnell is sort of gone, now, I know that they would hold a special election and, likelihood another Republican would be put into that place. But subsequent to that, is it likely that a moderate Republican or a Democrat could take the Senate seat in Kentucky? Well, that's got to be some kind of good news. That's a yes. Okay, so let's see what the cards have to say about Mitch and Elaine, shall we? For those of you wondering, yes, I'm still waiting for my backlogged or my back-ordered table. The problem is this, right? Because of COVID and manufacturing and everything that's slowed down, there's no point sort of getting huffy and canceling the order and trying to find something else because everything is back-ordered everywhere. I don't know if maybe because it's a smaller market out here, and so it's harder, we sort of don't get first pick. I don't know, but I'm hanging in there without my table, but I sure am looking forward to getting it. Okay. Okay, interesting card there at the bottom, eh? Illumination, things coming to light. Let's take a look, shall we? Mitch and Elaine, Mitch and Elaine, Mitch and Elaine. And now this is at the bottom. So the Knight of Pentacles, so you're talking about kind of mercenary-like behavior, in my opinion. Okay, so they are both in a little bit of a more precarious situation, I think, than we, generally speaking, realize. Normally this card is about taking chances. It's about you making a decision, this or that. But what I'm actually seeing is the instability here, and I'm seeing the waves in the background. And so it really does feel as if that situation is maybe a little bit more fraught than it might appear. I also, interestingly, really energetically get the feeling that between the two of them, it almost feels like a Cold War. One of those situations of, well, if you had not done that, then this, and well, you did that, so therefore, it just doesn't feel very cohesive right now between the two of them. And, that's not surprising, right? Because when it comes right down to it, in a lot of ways, she is the force behind the relationship. Whatever Mitch is or does or doesn't do in terms of being a senator, and at this point being the minority Senate leader, it really very much feels like in a lot of ways she's the one who holds the purse strings, and she's the one who controls a lot of what goes on. And she has a very clear, focused attitude and determination when it comes to her position, when it comes to money, when it comes to family, and when it comes to power. So it sort of feels almost literally within the relationship, she becomes the force to be reckoned with, which kind of makes you wonder if that may not be part of the reason that Mitch is such an idiot and so power hungry in his role as a senator, right? Because maybe he's trying to grab back the power that perhaps he doesn't have at home. Ultimately, there's a lot of stress and strain going on there, and ultimately they're going to be disappointed in some of the outcomes, some of the things that come to fruition. It's very interesting, but energetically, there's a feeling that, kind of a little bit like Trump, Mitch McConnell is not going to surrender his seat in the Senate as long as he thinks that it can protect him or buffer him from wrongdoing, from investigations, anything like that. So he's not going to let go willingly. And he's definitely determined, in fact, they both are, to hang on to what they have. Sometimes this card is about stability, but sometimes it's about greed. And in this case, it's about both. So both of them are sort of driven and motivated to maintain the status quo. They're not real interested in their position or their status being shifted or changed. And it's interesting because some people, when they have wealth, sort of, they flaunt it, right? That's where they sort of get their ego stoked, right? It's the watches and the clothes and the trips and the cars, houses, whatever it is. And I'm not saying that these guys are, misers, but it feels very much like for them, it is about the numbers in a bank or the numbers, on statements. And it is about, I keep getting the word buffering. So protection, right? It's like they believe that their money and their power affords them a certain amount of protection. And frankly, I'm sure it does. And in Kentucky, I'm sure it really does. He must have, after all of these years, a good number of friends in high places within Kentucky, whether that is business people, certainly the Russians, whether it is in state and local politics. But, they're very interested in holding on to what they have. If he's trying to sort of find a way out, if he's trying to sort of figure out, or if they are, kind of what comes next, it's interesting because in some ways it feels as if they're almost waiting in vain. It kind of almost feels like they themselves don't have actual clarity about how deep or how broad any investigations that are ongoing or could result going forward are going to be. It feels a little bit like they're almost like in the dark a little bit. He threw his lot in, and so did she, with who, because on a soul level, he spoke to them. He represented, he said the things that they believe in. It really is just as simple as that. They believe in, big corporations having the power. They believe that, the higher you climb, the more privileged you become. They believe that, money says everything. Money is king. Money is God, is ruler. And they believed that if you were not of their status, then you just simply were less than. And it and it's interesting because that sort of bias and prejudice, it's not exclusively about race. It is about economics. It is about social standing. It is about class, category. And so, well, people were appalled at, with who, and they were saying, well, Mitch is never going to stand for that. He's too much of an institutionalist. He's too much of a traditionalist. And then everybody was just like in continual shock because, yeah, Mitch got snippy here and there, and yeah, he kind of blew his cool once in a while. But, it's like January 6th, he's saying this is, it falls on the presidency, it was his fault, this is ridiculous, this is dangerous. But when it comes to a commission, he's no, absolutely, we're not going to look into that. So, he is still protecting that right-wing agenda. Now, it's interesting because you know what? He really doesn't believe in the conspiracy theories. He thinks they're all crackers, but he does believe in the power that can be bestowed or taken away from the guy at Mar-a-Lago at this point. Does he wish that guy would just shut up and go away? Well, kind of, yeah. But the other side of it is he is getting what he wants. And you have to understand that very often what he wants politically and what he wants personally, like, are, intertwined, right? But he's very, very power hungry, and it's sort of really a motivator or a driving force or factor with him. Losing control of the Senate this last time was really, really devastating to him. It was a bit of a hit to the ego. I think that he really, I think intellectually or logically, he suspected was going to happen, but I don't think he was ready for it. And then because the Georgia situation had everything hanging in a balance for those months after the election. He started to think that, what, yeah, I can hold on to the Senate. I really can. These Democratic, challengers are, it's not gonna fly, not in Georgia. And well, he misread Georgia because Georgia's kind of tired, I think, of some of the Republican antics. And Brian Kemp, frankly, should take notice of that, but I digress. There are a lot of secrets. There is a lot that is going to be investigated, a lot that is going to be made public, come to light, etc., as these investigations continue. And, sooner or later, news is going to come out. And I don't think it's necessarily going to be great news for them. So the Lover's card has come up next, and that's referring literally to them as a couple. And again, I'm not seeing that marriage as being rock solid right now, but nor is it going to fall apart. Understand, this very much feels like, whether it always was or not, it very much feels like it has evolved into a marriage of convenience or a marriage of like-minded people. Guess what? Here comes the Tower. Those things that were built falsely, illegally, inappropriately, are going to experience a rather dramatic shakedown. And that's going to put them in a position of really needing to make some decisions. And, at some point, I can't help but feel that the stress is going to be a contributing factor to Mitch's health, or as part of the reason that he decides to leave. And see, I don't I don't see him actually leaving the Senate willingly. And nor am I saying he's going to die. I'm just saying that certainly I would not be surprised to hear of a significant health issue, but something it really feels like is going to pull him away from politics, almost, and it's going to be, it's like Trump, right? It's like you can't let go of what you're holding on to, because what you're holding on to is exactly what is affording you the protection that you need and require from all of the stuff that is being investigated and you're going to get in trouble for. But there's decisions that are going to have to be made. And it feels like once this tower starts, it very much feels like there's going to be almost like an avalanche of information, of stuff coming out, stuff being talked about, a lot of communications. It's going to be very, very curious to watch this unfold. Do I see it happening this summer? No, I don't. If I had to put a timeline to it, I'm getting somewhere kind of Halloween to Thanksgiving, maybe in that time frame. So November sometimes, maybe. And by that point, it feels a little bit like, his power in and of itself is going to start diminishing. And you're going to see it. It's crazy as it sounds. You're going to almost see more of a radicalization of the GOP. And this is the problem, right? They've aligned themselves with this guy. And this is part of the reason that the MAGA people will not let go, because you can't just believe in something that religiously with such passion for 4.5 years and then just go, oops, I was played. Okay, I'm going to totally change my view. They have so much invested just emotionally and psychologically and holding on to these ridiculous alternative realities that they live in, that they're not going to want to let go. But this is going to shake. There's going to be stuff that comes out that really seems to be shaking up politics. It's shaking up their own personal home, their own personal life, their own personal finances. And it very definitely looks like there is going to be information that comes out pertaining to kickbacks, pertaining to deals that are not necessarily on the up and up, pertaining to, I'm getting contracts, negotiations. And in many, many ways, I have, long said that, well, I believe that Russia has a lot of dirt on a lot of people. At this point, I'm honestly not convinced that a lot of that has had to be used or threatened with, because the primary thing you really got to remember about the GOP and Mitch McConnell is he speaks to them, okay? He talks their language. He says the things they only wish they could say. And so, but I think in this case, I want to say, you know what? I think Mother Russia has some goods on him. And I actually think so does the Chinese government. I'm not quite sure what that's about. That just came in. So that's going to be very, very interesting to see. They're not going to be able to hold that balance. They're really, really not. And they're going to be under scrutiny. And I think that is going to trigger I almost want to say behavior that is more and more of a power grab, more and more of a, you can't touch me, don't you know who I am kind of attitude. But I think overall they're going to end up being, in trouble. Now, I'm not sure, and I'm not getting real clarity on exactly um, how what kind of investigations may be going on that might actually, be the straw that broke the camel's back. But it definitely feels like there are certainly some factors going on here. And like I said, right now, it feels very much like it is, a lot of it is underground and a lot of it's quiet. It's a little bit below the surface. I mean, there's an awareness that some investigations are being done, but there really isn't a lot of talk, etc. I have some really lovely viewers in Kentucky. And if one or two of you could just sort of in the comment section, maybe just give me a bit of a heads up on what the current situation there is. What it looks like for McConnell in terms of popularity, in terms of people backing him or supporting him. And I am curious to know if there was anybody that actually took a serious look at how somebody with an 18% popularity rating could end up winning and it being determined that quickly. I mean, it was one of the early uh, confirmations or decisions, I guess, about who won what where. And so that's just very, interesting. So if you can give me any kind of a heads up about that, that would be really good. I would be very curious to know kind of what's going on a local level in terms of their opinions and attitudes about the federal government and what's going on there. And I'll thank you in advance for that. So I just want to see, I'm just reshuffling the cards and I just want to see if there's any other or additional information that we can get with regards to the two of them. Any further insights? Any further insights? Any further insights? Okay. Right now, they're sort of still waiting, right? They're waiting to see what's going to be found out. They're waiting to see, what these investigations are going to poke their noses into, etc. There is also a sense I'm getting that there's a lot of concern about, I keep hearing contracts and negotiations connected to her and her family. And a lot of that stuff, it just doesn't feel like it was on the up and up. So there seems to be, within the two of them as a couple, there seems to be a fair amount of concern about overseas. Like they're looking out into the water and wondering how bad that's going to get. Well, I don't want to burst their bubble, but it's going to get really bad, really bad. And it literally, this is sometimes about a different perspective. I literally see this as being hanged. I don't mean like hanged, okay? But it's going to throw their world upside down. It is going to really create an environment where they're going to feel, honestly, like their entire world has been turned upside down and not in a good way. Their assets, their status is definitely in jeopardy. And if there's going to be a lot that comes out, and there's the energy in the air around them is going to be very toxic. They're going to be trying to push back against investigations when stuff really starts hitting the fan. But definitely there's this sort of crazy energy. Ultimately, the government may have to come after them, and really just sort of lay down, kind of the law. Here comes justice, followed by death. Okay, then. So I think that wraps up them. So I thank you very, very much for being here today. I love your support. I appreciate it. I am currently booking private readings in July, the beginning to mid-July. So if you're interested in having one of those, the information in the description box below will tell you how to reach out to me to get the information pertaining to that. Until next time, take care. Be well. We'll see you really soon. Bye-bye.